Madison, Wisconsin got hit by a very large hailstorm last night, anywhere from pea size all the way up to like baseball, tennis ball size hail. You're talking 3.5 inch hail in diameter. We have our entire team out doing free inspections, helping homeowners, setting them up for a quick, easy plan to get their home back to normal. We're talking new roofs, new siding, new gutters, and even some windows as well.
Take off.
So what does hail damage actually look like on a roof? Well, when you're looking at gorilla size hail like I am here, it's very obvious in terms of, imagine just a jagged stone getting whipped at asphalt shingles. Asphalt shingles are somewhat pliable, they're a little softer, so they can sort of absorb some of the hits. But when you're having golf ball size to 2 inch size hail, then you're actually getting cuts through the shingles, so you actually see cracks in the shingles. Not necessarily going to lead to leaks or anything like that, but affecting the integrity of that shingle, of course. Really the risk of that is like during the winter, if there were to get any water buildup or ice inside those shingles, that would create leaks then. A lot of people will just see, or like inexperienced contractors, door knockers, for example, like with the storm chasers, they sometimes just see black spots on a roof and they think that's actually hail damage. That's a variety. There's a variety of anomalies with shingles, manufacturer defects, that sort of thing. But ultimately what insurance is looking for when they actually inspect a roof is the mat of the shingle to actually be cracked. So with the shingle, there's an asphalt layer, fiberglass mat, and then like another asphalt layer. Really heavy hail is actually cracking through all of those layers, or cracking through the top asphalt layer with where all the granules are, and that fiberglass layer. That's true hail damage. I would absolutely not recommend anybody look for this themselves. Sometimes you can see it just out your window, but oh, there's a pretty sizable hit on this. But the reason why I want to recommend that is there are professionals like myself that'll do this for free. I absolutely do not recommend people to get on their roof. That's what we're here for. The beautiful thing about Heinz Contracting is we're extremely familiar with the insurance claim process as well. So from the moment of inspection all the way through the claim to where your roof is completed, or your siding and that kind of thing is completed and everything's restored, we handle every step of the process. Really the only thing homeowners actually have to do is file the claim. But we'll be able to help from there. But I gotta land the drone.
Landing.
All right, so up on a roof, just to show you guys a little bit what hail damage looks like. So this area got golf ball size hail. So just to give you an example, as we look over here, this spot, you can see that there's just a black dot, and that's really kind of what sticks out to most people. You can see black dots sort of scattered throughout here. But what you're seeing is I can actually feel this, and you can actually feel the dimple of the hail impact from that. If you were to get really close and zoom into here, these individual granules of your of the shingle are actually driven in from the hail, because otherwise these granules could necessarily get brushed off. And it's designed to do that, but these individual shingles and that actually bounciness, you can tell that the mat underneath of it, that fiberglass mat, is actually cracked and broken. That's what's affecting the integrity of the shingle and lowering the life of it. That's why your insurance will actually cover that most of the time under hail damage. So what's really obvious, like if I were to push on here, there's not a lot of give, right? The field is shingled, not a lot of give really. And then I push here and there's a lot of bounce to that. The big thing with hail is we work in a 10 by 10 area. That's what insurance adjusters will do. They'll make a 10 by 10 square box called a square. And the insurance companies will call them test squares. And they're looking for 8 to 10 hits in that area. Then that's what they deem enough to cover for replacement on that side, depending on what your policy is and that sort of thing. This area right here, I can see probably about 30 in a 10 by 10 area, because as I go over here, you can even see like this shingle. I'm gonna take a picture of that. You can see the fiberglass mat that's actually cut all the way into it. So hail is actually produced from weather anomalies. Just similar way that snow is actually produced, where you just have condensation, humidity, moisture in the atmosphere. But what happens with hail and how hail gets to be this big is As the hail starts to fall, there's updraft. Similar updraft is what's producing tornadoes, but that updraft actually takes the lighter hailstones as they start to fall and pushes them back up in the atmosphere, and they keep doing this loop until they're finally heavy enough to where they fall down. So this area where they experience like baseball size hail, there's a heavy updraft that had happened, and that hail just kind of kept cycling around. And most hail isn't perfectly round, because as you can imagine, as it's moving around through the atmosphere, it's collecting different points, different shards on that stone. And that's what creates really weird marks on roofs. It's not always just this perfectly circle hailstone. So the biggest hail that I've ever actually seen is softball size. Actually, there's a really big hailstorm last year down in the Platteville area, but about 2 years ago, there was just a weird fluke hailstorm where it wasn't very widespread, but it produced about softball size hail, so about that big. The thing is when you usually get hail that big, it's usually a lot of other hailstones connecting to each other and falling down then from there. So when you see hail that is that big, usually it's not widespread. Usually there's not a lot of it. However, Nebraska and Oklahoma and Kansas and that kind of Missouri, the notorious hail states, they would beg to differ because they've definitely seen it. So this is a really cool tool that we use called Hail Trace. There's a variety of different hail mapping services, but this really shows you the amount of hail damage and what that map looks like. To give you an idea, if I click into this red area, oops, not gonna do that for me. But to give you an idea, that inside red area is 3.5 inch hail. All the way out to these outer areas is about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch hail. So you start looking all of West Madison, Middleton, Southern Madison area here, all the way across to the east side of Madison, Cottage Grove, everything across. And I mean, there's huge areas, Watertown. So if you look, a lot of the more urban area of Wisconsin got hit. So you're talking over 100,000 homes that have been affected by this. But hail has become more and more prevalent over the last 10 years. There's a lot of data that shows the amount of homes that have been affected by hail just in the Midwest and just Wisconsin as a whole over the last 10 years. So much so that insurance companies have been changing their policies to protect themselves better because this roof that we just looked at here is only a couple years old, and it absolutely needs to get replaced because of the amount of hail damage that is on it. One thing to know is if you choose not to get your roof replaced after a hailstorm and you do have hail damage on it, you're risking a couple things. You're definitely risking a leak. What happens is during the winter, any of those hail impacts, ice and water can build in those areas and actually heave and cause leaks. But it's ultimately going to lower the life of your roof. Your insurance company, generally, that's why they hold back some money, is to make sure that you actually get your work done and you don't go to Mexico on vacation because they want to protect their insured asset, of course. So your risk of not replacing your roof during a hailstorm is you're still probably going to end up paying for a roof much sooner than what you normally would have. And the one thing to know is your roof is generally more expensive further years out. So get it done as soon as you can. So if you're a homeowner and you're wondering a quick, easy way to be able to check if you actually had hail damage at your home last night, you want to check your downspouts on your house. So downspouts on your house are made out of some of the softest aluminum generally. And so you can inspect your downspouts to see if you have any dents and dings in them. But this one looks pretty good. Looking down below here, actually pretty nice and clean. So some insurance adjusters actually won't even get on your roof if they don't see dents and damage to soft metal. So just a quick, easy tip to not waste your time. If you're looking for help on your insurance claim, trust your local family-owned professionals at Hines Contracting. Give us a call. Blair's happy to answer the phone and get an inspection set up for you.